G'day guys, my name's Lead It Pros and I'm here today just to show you how to create some bird art in Photoshop. I love my wildlife and I love actually just playing around and editing to get a different sort of effect, and this is just one of the effects that I use in my wildlife photography. So first of all, I'm just going to do a bit of a cleanup image on this white swan. I just want to get rid of these sort of distracting leaves and stuff that it's got on its beak. It was obviously feeding at the time when I took it. Was taken at sunrise in Western Australia. And I'm also going to get rid of a couple of these dust spots that I can see. It's not going to matter too much on the end image, but I'm just going to get rid of them just because I want to. It's these were shot on the Canon 1D Mark III at the time. So now I've got my image clean, I'm actually going to create a bit of an overlay. And so I've just opened up this image of water, and I'm just going to copy that and paste it straight onto this swan image. I'm going to use transform and zoom out. I'm actually going to bring that down now so the ripples are a bit smaller, and I'm going to desaturate that because I don't want any of that color through. And now this is the cool part. You just change the blending mode to soft light and you can see it's almost like a snow swan. Now with this, I'm wanting to create a little bit more sort of clarity on the eye here. It's sort of getting a bit lost with that sort of texture overlay. So to do that, I'm just going to create a layer mask, use my brush tool on something quite feathery and soft, and then paint just with the black back on the eye there. Okay, so it's not as, maybe I'll just paint the eye itself, just paint that back. So that's my image so far. Now what I'm wanting to do now is actually flatten that image and duplicate the layer, and at this point I'm wanting to do two things. I'm wanting to sort of create a darker edge as well as sort of a blurry edge. So to do that, I'm going to change my blending mode again down into multiply, and let's do the blur as well while we're here. Go into blur and go into Gaussian blur, and we're just going to blur it enough so we can see. We can't really make out the swan so much, but we still want this texture, which is very, very important. So just adjust the slider to get the texture where you want. Click OK. And now, instead of actually using a brush to paint back the original swan, we're going to create a layer mask and use the gradient tool. And then we're going to choose the circular gradient. And probably around about, 80% will do. We want to click on the eye and drag out from the eye. And, wrong way. Had the wrong brush selected. I'm just going to invert that and you can see the difference. What I should have painted on was a white brush, but you can see here it's got the black in the middle and the white on the outside, so it's revealing the background layer. You can see when I click on and off the difference. It sort of darkened the edges and also blurred them a little bit because I didn't want them so sharp. So now that I've done that, I'm going to do one other thing. I'm going to create a nice curve layer to add a little bit more contrast into the image. Just lift it up a little bit. Okay, you can see there the difference. And lastly, I want to sort of darken off this area at the top and also the bottom. So again, I'm going to go in and I'm going to choose, you guessed it, it's a multiply layer. And I'm going to just invert that with a layer mask. So to hide it with a black layer mask. And then I'm just going to get a big black brush. Okay, at something like maybe an opacity of 10, flow at about 60. And I'm just going to draw in with a white brush. Just darken that edge off a little bit. Okay, because you can see the sun is coming on the back of the neck here. That's its brightest point. So I'm wanting to create a little bit more of a ray of light coming through the image. So to do that, I'm just going to create a little bit of a black here. Okay. Like so. Now you want to do this ever so gently. You don't want to overdo it. So I'm just creating layers here, and where I feel it needs it, that's where I'm painting. So now I'm just going to go back to my swan and change the brush opacity to 100% and just make sure my swan is got the full light on it. Okay. And we'll just bring that back a little bit. Okay. What I'm really wanting now is just to darken this area under the neck. So again, I'm just going to flatten that off. You can work non-destructively, but I prefer doing it this way. It's just gonna, yeah, it's the way I work. If I make a mistake, I can, always go back in my layer palette and adjust it. So now I'm just using my brush ever so slightly, just to paint back the highlight points of the image. I don't want to target this area under the neck too much because that doesn't really need to be dark so much. The area of the eye needs to be the lightest. So we'll just bring that back at about 83. Alright. Bringing that back. Use a nice solid brush. That way you're not going to notice it so much. Bring this beak back. Oops. Went out of the lines. That happens. Alright. And now I'm just going to get the big brush and do this. Oops, wrong one. Too much. Drop that back. Drop that back. There we go. So as you can see, it's just, you go for the feel that you want. So now I've got that dark area here and the dark area at the bottom. I'm pretty happy with that. So flatten that off and let's just capture that. You can see the difference in the original from the edited. It makes quite a big difference to your photograph and turns it into more of an art piece. So that's the look I'm going for. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned something. And I look forward to seeing some more wildlife art out there. Thanks for watching.